Alan needs to talk about this.
Yeah.
Alan, you and I both saw Elio.
Mm-hmm.
There's a review on the Film Threat website for
Not
it.
kind.
It is not kind. You gave it a 3 out of 10. I'm going to share a screen and
it is the worst Pixar movie ever made.
Yeah, well,
and for very much the same reason that Wish was the worst Disney animated film. And I'm look, I've been reading the comments about it. Yeah, I'm being nitpicky. Most of my review is just about the art and the animation of Elio and how awful it is and how it is reminiscent of Wish. Violates exactly the same rules as Wish. And the reason I bring up the art and design of Elio is because Pixar has had a long tradition from the first Toy Story. And granted, the first Toy Story, the computer models used, not that exciting and not that polished. Obviously, the art design of Pixar and Disney had evolved over time. But, we're talking about the first computer generated animated feature ever in Toy Story. So there's levels in which you forgive it, but at least there was some thought and design placed behind, Woody and Buzz and also the art design of that movie. Elio just becomes this regression of just what happens when you get rid of all the pale male and stale dudes over at Disney and Pixar.
It was very clear. We'll do a review on Friday, but this, wow, we have too many ads here. This is annoying on our website.
Don't blame me.
But you should read Alan's review. It goes in depth. It's important you read it, but you wanted to say a few things about the movie.
Okay.
So why don't you get to that?
Yeah, so let me go back to back in my young adult days. This was in the 90s. Disney, I think I mentioned this in my Wish review, but Disney had this thing called the Disney Institute. Hold on, let me 69. Let's okay. They had this thing called the Disney Institute, and it was at that time basically it was adult fantasy camp for Disney. Mm-hmm. And I went, and it was my dream to go. I saved up a lot of money to do this experience where you stay at Walt Disney World and you take all these classes. I took an animation class. I took a gardening class at Epcot where we went around and learned how the gardening of Epcot was done. Did a canoe trip through the canals behind Disney World. And the ones I was looking forward to was the photography classes. There were two of them, outdoor photography and portrait photography. And we go into a room and these professional Disney photographers, the guy who took Michael Eisner's board pictures, taught us how to take pictures the Disney way. And it wasn't even the Disney way, it was the professional way. And the first thing they taught us, and if any of you know anything about art, you'll understand what this is, but it's called the rule of thirds. Is that when you take a picture of someone, don't put them in the dead center of the scene. That's boring. Put them off to either the third of the screen to the right or the third to the left. If you've seen the movie The Fabelmans, John Ford gives this lesson to young, I forget, Benny Fabelman or whatever, Steven Spielberg, just about this. And while watching Elio, I couldn't help but notice, but throughout 80% of the movie, all the action was in the dead center of the screen. Would you concur with that, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. And the problem, I'll show you an example of this, but the problem of it is that it's like, imagine you're driving home late at night down a long highway, and all you're doing is staring down the highway, right down the dead center of your windshield. You're going to fall asleep. Your eye needs to move around to keep you engaged. And it just seems like Elio and Pixar and Disney, especially with Wish, they decide that they are going to take their movie and just violate all the rules of art. And here, I'll give you an example. This is from...
Please, show
This
it.
is the trailer to Elio.
Okay.
Okay, and what I've done here is I put a green bar down the center third of the screen.
Okay.
All right. So here, I'll let me mute it so because you don't need to hear it. But as you can see, what's happening here is there's this green bar. Notice how most of the action, not all of it, they get it right sometimes, but all the action is in the center of the screen. In fact, do yourself a favor, look at the left and the right. That's not green, and ask yourself, what am I looking at? It's this is obviously this part fills the screen, but yeah, look at this scene here. Action in the middle, nothing on the sides. Same here. Look, Elio is by himself. He's in the center of the screen, and what do you see on the left and the right? Nothing. It's boring. We're gonna move. Let me move down just a little bit. Look at that. What are you seeing? You're seeing the.
It tells me everyone involved in this is inexperienced.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first line of the movie is from like the black superior officer to Elio's guardian.
Yeah.
And everything, it's very DEI influenced. It's very, you think it's that Elio is handicapped. He's not. He was scratched in the eye, and so wears a patch for the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look at that. I mean, okay, here it is.
And what that tells
look,
me
there's a lot of look at this. Look at this. Oh, hold on, let me back up.
What we're looking at is ready for this, folks? We're looking at the communiverse.
Yeah,
that's right. Elio is abducted by aliens that take him to a place where they all get together, and it's called the communiverse, where everyone gets along and everything is fair.
Yeah. Okay, now look at this. Look, we got some aliens here. What can you tell me about these aliens? Like
the design of all the aliens are awful.
Yeah,
they're all look, jellyfish or whatever.
Yeah, I have a picture of that. But okay, look, there you go. Nothing on the left and the right. Yeah, look, there you go.
Generic, uninspired, uncreative designs for aliens I've ever seen in any form of media.
Yeah. Okay, look at this. The alien is in the middle of the screen. What do you see on the left and the right?
Nothing.
And then we get to a broad shot here. Let's see. Yeah. Again, look, what are we seeing? What are we looking at? What are we looking at on the left and the right? There's nothing there. Look, do you see it? There's a bunch of aliens in this picture.
Yes.
You look at the alien design. Look how boring it is. How you look at it, it's like, what am I looking at? Because this is something I've learned in drama and in theater is you have to connect with your audience. You have to produce images that your audience will connect with. Look, it's arbitrary. Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't connect with any of this. Maybe you do, but I would argue that 90% of the people looking at this image cannot connect with any of these aliens in this picture. Again, this artwork, the composition, the design. I guess that's pretty cool. But here, let me go through some of these images too. Here, I'll show you a picture of. I have way too many pictures here. Here we go.
Show us.
Look, here's the cute little aliens that we're supposed to fall in love with.
They just, the designs of the aliens look terrible. They're all, it looks like a child designed them.
Well, it looks very random. There should be a sense of utility when you look at the aliens, that you know what they do or how they move. Like this stone alien here. You see the stone alien a lot. And all you see him is kind of, he's got parts, and these parts separate when he talks or when he moves. And that's about all you see. This one on the edge here, it appears a lot in the movie as well. But what are we looking at? Why is it built this way? Why is it designed that way? Same with this thing here. If you look at whatever this is, again, you need a sense of utility of how it functions, why it functions, how it moves. And that's how you begin connecting with these and say, hey, I want to buy this toy. But I think they decided, hey, we're going to create a cool toy design and then kind of animate around it as opposed to vice versa.
It just seems to me, we haven't even gotten to the story yet, Alan.
Yeah.
But did you get the feeling that they elevated voices that don't normally get to be in charge to put this together?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at, so this is the same director.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. But the same director as Turning Red and a couple others. Look at this image. Here's the action right in the center. And then you look to the left and to the right, and you have to ask yourself, what am I looking at? You know, there's nothing defined. It's not even exciting. Here, I'm gonna look. Let's take a look at how Disney used to do this stuff. Look, this is from probably the second worst Pixar movie, Cars.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Cars. It's right. Not offensive.
But look at this image. Look at this image. You have 3 of your main characters, and then you have something interesting happening.
By the way, I can even determine the personalities of these characters based on the designs.
Mm-hmm. And when I talk about composition, obviously, okay, so they're not using the thirds on the left and the right, but they're using the third from the bottom and the top. So all your characters here are at the bottom third of the screen, which forces your eye then to look above it at the Tokyo background. Look, when you create something, the thing that one of the things they taught us at photography camp was it was all about where your eye goes. You know, when you look at an image, what direction does your eye move around the photo? Look, yes, car is in the center here, but then you've got interesting action going on to the right here. And there's a level of, you know, where it's off balance in a good way, where you got the large explosion here and the small one over here and the character escaping it. There's action. This is a still, and yet you feel movement, you feel action, you feel the explosion basically. Here's a group shot. You know, remember the alien group shot we just saw? Well, this is from the first Toy Story movie. You know, you look around and it's just there's energy, there's excitement to just these poses. And you also have context. You understand who these characters are, what they do. This is the promo shot. And you notice the triangular composition here. So your eye sees everything, but then moves to Buzz and then it moves to Woody. This is just basic shot composition. This is a very busy shot, but your eye goes right to Potato Head right here. Mm-hmm. Look at the triangular composition of this. The ship here in the back forces your eye to go right to Buzz. You know, look, this is from Inside Out 2, the last movie, the highest grossing animated feature ever. Look at how they position and compose the stand. This is a great shot because you look at characters, you know who they are, you understand something about them, and then also they're just not posed like superheroes. You know, it's posed to serve the scene at this moment, and your eye automatically is drawn to this larger character here, to embarrassment. And I've been watching Elio again. I'll say it again. Elio is not an animated feature; it's a cartoon. Mm-hmm. You know, and
it should have gone direct to Disney Plus.
No, it should have gone to Canada because apparently Canada is making better movies than Burbank.
Right. Well, that's
or Emeryville even. I don't know.
I mean, I feel if this trend keeps going, they're going to send everything to Canada for the animation and or AI. Yeah.
But it's, I tried to ask David Zucker this question. He didn't bite, but it just seems like when you go, there's something about the past that current day Hollywood doesn't want to look at. No one wants to go back to Hitchcock and make a Hitchcock style film, or at least study Hitchcock and ask yourself, why are his movies so visually exciting versus everything else? Why don't we go back to Walt Disney and look at how he composes shots, and why, the squash and stretch? it's for some reason Hollywood today has said that, Shakespeare is male, pale, and stale. We need to do greater work. We can do greater work on our own if we just not do what they did in the past. And Elio is just that example of that. It's just bad design. The mother. I don't know how they could make the mother character or the aunt character so plain
mother
looking.
figure. She's so
mother
plain, and she wears an army uniform throughout the movie, even
and a
in
bun.
her in a bun, even when she's not at work.
Mhm.
It was so there were so many aspects of, and by the way, we haven't gotten to it yet. Every white character is dumb or a jerk or a bully.
Yeah.
Every single one. And the
Mhm.
one character who was kind of friends with the white bully, the black kid, he ends up having a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers.
By the way, Elio in the first act is a dick. Is an absolute dick.
He's kind of a jerk, and he gets everything he wants.
Mm-hmm.
He
steals something from a kid.
He steals something from a kid. First of all, let's save it for the review.
Yeah.
This is merely about the making of the film, but it is very clear. And if anyone who works in animation wants to reach out to us, it's very clear that people who were unqualified were elevated to positions to make Elio. Yeah. This was made by unqualified designers, animators, and storytellers. And to that I say, bring back Hugs. Bring back John Lasseter. Because when he was there, the movies were better. Final thoughts, Alan. We'll go to comments.
Yeah, someone should write a series about how Disney has fallen in the animation department. I just don't know how this. I can't believe this is the direction Disney is going in, especially coming off of Inside Out 2, which was a far superior movie than this, and we're reverting back to this, and I don't know what's coming. Hoppers is next. There's there's a
teaser for Hoppers. It's at the very end of the movie. It's a post-credit scene.
It's a dumb old joke.
Yeah, it's a dumb joke. But if you see it, you'll stay to the end and get a treat.
Yeah, but you know what? When a Disney animated feature came out, the first thing I did when it was available was buy the art book. I bought the art book for Little Mermaid, for Beauty and the Beast, Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Lion King, and I would just sit there and go through just this gorgeous concept art, the gorgeous animation and character design. You can't do that anymore with Disney, and those things weren't cheap either. But I spent the money, I bought them, and I just miss the way things. Someone's bringing a Strange World. Even the composition in Strange World is good compared to this one.
Yeah, it's a colossal disappointment. It's going to lose a lot of money, and it's going to call into question why so many unqualified people are being elevated, most likely because of DEI, because of the I'm not going to say I'm not going to mention an identity, but there's definitely a bias toward veterans and experienced people.
Yeah. I mean, read the D files. My understanding is that what was happening in Burbank was happening in Emeryville as well, especially after Lasseter's leaving, and that weirdly enough, the only bastion where this DEI culture doesn't exist in Canada, which is why Moana 2 got. Look, the animation of Moana 2 is exceptional. Story not so much.
Yeah,
but you did see a return to form in that one. I don't know how Inside Out 2 got away with it, but again, this is a step back.